You are listening to the Women in Youth Ministry podcast hosted by me, your CEO, Heather Lee Campbell. Women in Youth Ministry is an organization that seeks to elevate the voices of women in a male-saturated field. Go to womeninyouthministry.com to read our blog, follow us on social media, join our online community, purchase our merch, or support our Patreon. Now, here is Heather and this week's guest. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to this week's episode of the Women in Youth Ministry podcast. My name is Heather, and I am your founder and CEO of Women in Youth Ministry. Today, I am so excited to introduce to you all my good friend, Christina. Say hello, Christina.
Hi, guys. It's so good to be here.
Christina Rees-Fletcher is the Family Ministry Director at Christ the Savior Lutheran Church in Fishers, Indiana, like 20 minutes away from me, where she oversees discipleship and ministry for children, youth, and young adults. A lifelong Presbyterian, she has also worked in a variety of ecumenical and progressive Reformed spaces, shaping her passion for radical hospitality, inclusion, and authentic faith practices. Christina, I'm so excited to have you on. I believe this is your first time on the podcast. So
yeah,
can you
on the vlog, but
Right. So can you just give like a quick overview? Who are you? Where are you, and what do you do in ministry that I have not mentioned?
Yeah, I mean, you got most of it. Kind of a big piece. I lived in Missouri for about 11 years, just moved back to Indianapolis last May. So it's been a year and a half, which is wild. And I moved back after the sudden loss of my husband, Zach. It was unexpected, and moving back to Indianapolis is where my friends and family were, and blessings that Heather was here too. So it's been fun to get to see her more, and just finally settled into a full-time role here and excited for what is to come still here in Indianapolis.
Yeah, I'm excited you're here too. And you've like worked in United Methodist, Presbyterian, Disciples of Christ, Lutheran. And this is something that like you and I connect on because I like to call myself a denominational casserole. And I feel like you get that.
I totally do. And I mean, I will till probably for a very long time always say I'm Presbyterian, but like truly I see myself more in just like the Reformed spaces now. And I care more about theology than I do denominational like hierarchy at this point. So
Same. I kind of feel like as long as the values match and as long as we're a space, and I feel like progressive spaces are generally good about this, where we can like ask questions and dialogue, like all the little details don't matter to me.
Exactly. There are a few things obviously with every denomination that are different. And there are pieces even of being a Presbyterian that I'm like, So there's always one. So it's okay.
Yeah, it's fun. I've been in the Episcopal space for 2.5 years. And there's some people who are like, you are just Episcopalian. Like you've always been Episcopalian. But I'm like, on the low, there's some things I miss about being Southern Baptist that we cannot get into today. You're like, Heather, what are you saying? But, like sometimes I miss a little believer's baptism, like there's kind of a moment about it. So
I totally understand that.
I don't apologize. Okay. So I don't know if you know this about me, but I love a good unhinged icebreaker. And I mean, this is like youth pastor core. I have a list of 45. Choose a number between 1 and 45.
17.
Everyone says 17, which is so funny because
I can choose a different one.
No. Not everyone is in on my podcast. I mean, everyone on the dating apps. But what's funny is 17 is also my favorite number. So
it's my favorite number too.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I chose it.
It's my birthday. Did you know why is it your favorite number?
It was my softball number.
Cute.
It was my jersey.
Love that. Okay. Yeah. If you had to wear a costume every day for the rest of your life, what would you dress up as and how would you explain it to people?
Does it have to be like a traditional Halloween costume, or can it be like a character?
Yes.
Okay. I think right now, just with like my vibes and my energy, I'd do like a Morticia Adams, I think.
Ooh.
I'm really like leaning into like moody aesthetics. I'm darkening my hair next week, like trying to get just a little bit more edgy because I wasn't, not that I wasn't allowed, but I felt like I wasn't supposed to be my authentic self for a really long time. And now I feel like I can. And so I'm really enjoying just kind of like reclaiming goth, emo, punk rock aesthetic that I have always loved, but like hidden behind like a very like exterior.
So it's so funny because like Christina and I were just talking about as you were like getting ready to hit record about how like my friends call me Youth Pastor Barbie because like I have a very bubblegum pink. I mean, look at my office. If you're watching on video,
she's pink
it's like,
and she's proud.
Yeah, I have a sign above my desk that says Youth Pastor Barbie. This is who I am. And like since the loss of my husband via divorce, I've been leaning more into the pink aesthetic around my home. It's a very girly pop. But if I'm Youth Pastor Barbie, you're Youth Pastor Bratz doll.
I'm here for it. I love that.
Yeah, and I love your home.
And I'm moody.
Yeah, but I like love your home's aesthetic. It like could not be more different than mine. But like
absolutely, your
home gives Reputation, which is my favorite Taylor Swift album, and I feel like Reputation is like who I am. Like it's a piece of me. Yeah, it's a piece of me. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. I grew up in a very not grew up. For the last decade, I've had a very like farmhouse, millennial gray, which is like fine. It was like at the time perfect for what we needed. It was like neutral. But as soon as I moved into my own house, I was like, I'm getting an old home and I'm gonna have it designed the way that like speaks to me, which is like witchy cottagecore.
I love that.
Yeah, so that's what it is.
We don't have time. We don't have time to talk about this today, but I also had like a farmhouse kind of. Mine was white, like an all white home, and I loved my home. Don't get me wrong,
absolutely.
But as like I'm able to do whatever I want now, it's like I get to design however I want. But I read this article several years ago that talked about how this like millennial white, all white aesthetic was like a millennial's way of kind of whitewashing home decor. Because if you think about it, a lot of non-white homes celebrate color and culture via like their art and their like aesthetic. And it might be more cluttered because it has like cultural memories and like knickknacks and things like that, right? And so this like all white aesthetic that millennials did was kind of our way of erasure in the home. And like I read it and I was like so convicted because I used to have like a home that was like decorated with color and memories and things I've collected and things people have given me. But when I like thought that I had to be like an adult, I like leaned into the whitewashing. And so it's fun to kind of step away from that and say, yeah, like my home represents me and the things I care about. Everything students have given me, it's littered around my house. Like this is
the best way though.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway,
celebrate it. Yeah.
Like could go on a soapbox about that, but that's not why we're here.
Absolutely. I'm with you.
So tell us a little bit about your faith story. What shaped your journey in faith and how did you first sense a call to ministry? Because I find those things are often intertwined.
Yeah. So I was, like we were speaking about, born and raised in the PCUSA. My home church is in Castleton, Indiana, which is in the northeast side of Indianapolis. And I was just like deeply, deeply in love with my youth group and my church and the ministry and the connection and community that was there. I was blessed by a congregation that was incredibly supportive. Also, sorry, my cat is being loud today. So while my congregation and church home was beautiful, I felt very ostracized by Christians beyond my church walls. Purity culture, this idea of like needing to be saved, the fact that I was baptized as a baby, like all of that was like very much used against me by like other people in my life. Then in 2011, the PCUSA voted to affirm same-sex marriage and ordination. And this to me was like, duh. Like I've had, my confirmation mentor was LGBTQ, but then people left our congregation and I was very confused because we had been preaching connection and community and wholeness for so long. And that kind of like sparked this like baby deconstruction that I had. Left for college soon after that and went through my own like full deconstruction. I call it baby deconstruction though, because I never really left the faith. I just figured out what I believed. I wrestled a lot with what was like spoon fed to me, is like being told this is what I needed to believe versus what I actually held as true. And came to a lot of that like understanding through reading the Bible in the way that meant something to me, reading the stories that meant something to me. I will tell this to anyone who asks. My favorite Bible story is the woman at the well. It's the longest conversation that Jesus has with anyone in the Bible, back and forth. That's not just him like preaching or telling a story. Like he is actually in conversation with her. And it was a version of radical hospitality, like truly, if you like read it in a way that I think a lot of people don't. And then between that and the bleeding woman touching Jesus' cloak and Hannah's grief and like longing to have a child, like these are the ways that I came to understand faith. And I understand God and Jesus as this like bold, rebellious person who was unafraid to call out hypocrisy when he saw it. And that's what faith became to me. Yeah. So I was like holding all this personal faith, but at the same time was like, I never want to go into ministry. The church is broken. The church is like, I was so upset with everything going on. So I started in corporate America and I went and worked in corporate world and I hated it. I felt empty. I didn't know how to like wrestle with the fact that I wasn't like serving people. I was just like working to have a paycheck, and that felt disgusting to me. For me, I'm not saying that's a problem for anyone else.
Sure.
It just didn't feel like it was my heart's desire.
Right.
And so I quit with 2 weeks notice with no plan. I had nothing lined up. I just was like, I'm done. And within a few months, I had an internship lined up. And the same day I was offered the internship, I was also offered a youth director role at my first church in Kansas City, Missouri. And that's kind of where it started. And for the last decade, I've been growing in understanding what it means to be inclusive and have practices and be a mentor and have this like public facing ministry that's not just to the people in my context, but to the greater community at large. So that's a big part of where I'm at. I'm writing a book right now on full of blessings and poems that have been kind of inspired by the last 2 years of my life, and excited to see what's coming next.
Yeah, so that's great. I really enjoyed like the sharing of your poems on your TikTok and your Instagram. And yeah, that's been really inspiring. What are you most passionate about right now, whether it's in ministry or I always say in life, because the thing about ministry is it's also, I think, entwined to our identity, and the things we do with our personal life also impact it. So anyway, what is the thing that you're most passionate or that you're thinking about like the most right now?
Yeah. I think for me, it's been the same thing for a few decades, and that's not a few decades, a few years. Christina, could you talk?
It's like you're only a few decades old, you know?
I know, it's not been that long. So creating safe and inclusive and welcoming spaces for all people, specifically young people, to come in and know that they can be themselves. I was blessed with a youth group that allowed me to do that, but I was also being told on the outside that that wasn't okay. And so creating a space where we're having those hard conversations and addressing it there in that safe space is incredibly important to me. I think the other big piece that I have taken from seminary and these other pieces is creating ministry in the context in which you are serving. Other people's practices and traditions and rhythms will not work for every context. That's not how it works. You have to understand the people you're serving, the community at large, the beliefs that are held in that space, in that area, and come to fit them in a different space. A perfect example of this is moving back to Indy. We can't have Senior Sunday at the end of May because Indianapolis in May is full about the race. Like we don't, the Indianapolis 500 takes over Indiana. So understanding the context of like Senior Sunday is commonly one of the last 2 weekends in May. That's not okay here. You can't do that. So we have it very early to make sure those kids still get celebrated and recognize the context that we're in. And I think just learning to adapt in that. And then for like other like ministry spaces, just like being empowered and told, like, know that you're allowed to, like, just be yourself and, like, serve as yourself and serve authentically as who you are. I think that's where my passions are right now.
So. It makes sense. Like those things are all intertwined. Like making space for people to be themselves is really important. And that is both in the way that we serve our kids, and it's also in the way that we do our ministry, and it's also in the way that we treat ourselves as well. And all, that thread runs through all of that. I mean, I think comparison is the thief of joy. Like, people say that all the time, and I find it to be really true. I've spent the last 2 weeks with youth pastors at like various conferences and gatherings, and that was the thing I kind of walked away from it is like, obviously youth pastors are the thing that I'm most passionate about. And yet sometimes spending time with y'all is really draining because all we're doing is comparing ourselves to one another and going, well, that wouldn't work in my context because yours is big church and I don't have any kids at all. And like that language isn't helpful and it's hurtful. And like, how can we learn from one another when we're constantly comparing each other like that? It's hard.
Absolutely. No, it's totally true. And it shaped a lot of my early ministry in a negative way because I was like trying to make my youth group the same as the other youth groups around me. Does not work. It does not work. That's not what my kids wanted. It's not what my church needed. It's not what the community needed. Because if we just have a bunch of replicas of the same thing, there's nowhere for people of different beliefs and understandings to go. So, and then allowing yourself to serve authentically allows you to not be drained when you're done serving. Like you can do it longer if you're doing it the way that you want and deserve and love. So.
Yeah, I shared this story on my Facebook and Instagram the other day because I hit 15 years of full-time ministry the other day, which is really fun. And yes, that does mean that I started out as a youth pastor at 20 years old, which do not recommend.
I was only 21. So.
It's like for so many reasons.
Not good.
But what I will say about 20-year-old Heather is she figured out really quickly, like, I was in a Southern Baptist church in a Southern Baptist town with a Southern Baptist university. And so all the churches, it all revolved around that uni. And I knew I wasn't going to be First Baptist down the road. I knew I wasn't going to be this other church. It was a country church that worshiped 20 on a Sunday morning and had 3 youth. 2 of them were brothers. And one of them was the only reason I was hired because they're like, well, she's cool. She's in soccer. So let's hire a female to disciple her and bring all her soccer friends here because that's how we do ministry, right? At least in 2010 it was. And I remember going, okay, so we're not going to be these churches. So what can we do that's like unique and us and might draw? And so the thing that my kids were really passionate about was service. And so we did 30-hour famine and we would have 25 kids at our 30-hour famine lock-ins from the community, which was more than the pews ever saw. And that was what we did was we just figured out what is uniquely us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So tell me about like a win that you've experienced in ministry lately, whether it's kind of in that thread or just something else that you're celebrating.
Yeah. I just wrapped up kind of a 4-year process of this Montreat service. So Montreat is a youth and conference center in the mountains around Asheville, and grew up going there as a student and have kind of become a volunteer and originally served as a small group leader, then on planning team for one conference, and then most recently co-directed. And I got offered to be the co-director a few months before my husband passed, and trying to come to terms with like, am I going to stay in this role that was like, I was blessed to be offered and I felt really called to, while also dealing with the grief and loss and like tragedy that I was experiencing. I was really like torn around what to do. And they gave me the space to figure out if that's what I wanted to do. And I decided to stay, and just finished in June our 2 weeks of conferencing. And truly it felt like a resurrection moment for me. I wrote a blog about it. I felt like a new human kind of coming through this like belief of like my faith hadn't changed that dramatically. I was angry. I think everyone would be after a loss like that, but I still believed, but I think it was more about like who I am in it and who I am as a person who serves God and a person who serves others for God. And I really just like saw the power of community and sanctity and the power of like getting away and like giving yourself authentically over to that. It was just incredibly powerful and the best way to start the summer. And I started my role at CTS 1 week after I returned. So it's been a really impactful summer of kind of like change and movement and resettling back into this space of giving myself over to ministry.
Yeah. So. I find that when you go through something hard, there's like holy no's you have to make and holy yeses.
Yeah.
And that seems like a holy yes that
it was
you
definitely.
made. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. What is something that's bringing you joy outside of ministry right now?
A big one is writing. I just started using this app that like tracks how much I'm writing a day. So it's been fun for me to just like give myself over to that a little bit. I have this new amazing group of friends here in Indianapolis, along with people I've been friends with for a long time. And it's just like this beautiful blend of like my old life and my new life coming together and just like helping me rebuild and recover into who I want to be. My pets, photography. I have a very small photography studio that I love to do for fun mostly. Live music and concerts, tattoos, obviously. Can't stop, won't stop with those. So there's just been a lot of things that I've like let myself explore recently.
Yeah, so. Yeah. I feel like one of the things that I hear a lot about from women in our group is like, how do you build your community, especially if you're unmarried, right? Especially if you're in a new city. It's hard. And I have experiences too, where I've hit reset, begrudgingly, and it's difficult building from scratch again. So what are some tips that you've had for building from scratch?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was like admitting that I needed it. And then from there being vulnerable and asking for it. So I joined a Facebook group here in Indianapolis that was centered on women finding friends. And I was super vulnerable and I posted myself and then like 70 people commented and I said, I'm not going to respond to those. And so a few months later, when I was maybe a little bit more ready, I did it again and found this amazing group of women who have really just like truly surrounded me. And I think a big part of that was that I was honest about what I was looking for. I didn't want people to just go do things with. I wanted someone to like buy into my life, to like know my life, know my friends, know my family, and like become a part of this like greater picture. Because to me, a few really, really deep friendships matter more than like having 100 friends, you know? And just like being willing to put yourself out there, attending events that you don't know anyone at. Like I went to concerts alone last summer. It was terrifying, but I had a really good time. There's like speed friendship dating that I was about to start that I just like didn't end up needing to because I had this group form, but, and like doing it anyway. I like threw a birthday party last year for myself, which Heather came to, and like, I didn't know who was going to show up, but I went and I did it. And it was a blast. We had such a good time. And now it's like become an annual tradition that I'm hosting again in a few weeks. So, yeah.
Yeah, I found like I also posted in that group and got so many. I was showing it to someone. I was like, so most people only get like 5 comments. That would have been manageable.
Yeah, 70, not manageable.
Yeah, I think I had over 100, and then like friend requests and Facebook messages, and then I also got in trouble with the group creator.
Same. I left that group.
Yeah. I got in trouble because I was like, oh, we could start this thing, and it wasn't in line with her personal values. And okay, that's fine.
Same exact experience.
I have screen caps if you want to read my fun conversation with.
I will gladly send.
Your show. So yeah, and then like I went with this girl to like a Love Island party. That was cool. Last fall, all by myself, I went to a Taylor Swift pub crawl and
amazing.
Met all these people. And of course, a bunch of girls 10 years younger than me loved me and connected with me. And one of them ended up being a youth pastor in the area, which was so funny because I was trying to go incognito and be like, yeah, I'm a consultant or I'm in nonprofit.
I run a Facebook group.
I just run a small company. It's like coaching. It's like professional org, like I try to go incognito because I don't want people to count me out for having this career that I love, but people have feels on, right? So I went to a Taylor Swift pub crawl. I've been going to speed dating events, and like last weekend I went to a coffee club during the day that was like in a coffee shop, but there was a DJ, but it was sober. It was coffee. It was very cool.
That sounds amazing.
And just trying to like broaden my circle. Cause like I left a church I was at for 10 years. I left a relationship I was in for 8 years. How do you build from scratch? Right. And then I'm still in the city, but I don't have friends, like I don't have family here. And the friends that I have kids. And so what do you do when you're 35 and freshly single?
You figure it out. That's what we did.
Yeah. And it's been fun. I met this girl, Lindsay, shout out Lindsay. She doesn't listen to this podcast. But she posted in like a dating group. It's like basically like a call out, like, hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm looking for.
Yes. Yeah.
And I commented, I was like, I don't want to date you, but I do want to be your best friend. And we got coffee and we've been going to events together. And now we have a group chat with 5 other singles from these events. Yeah. It's just like, you just have to put yourself out there. And
absolutely.
I appreciate
and like, take the leap. It's hard, but you just got to like, I have anxiety too. It's hard. We just got to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I can talk to a brick wall, but that still doesn't mean that I don't feel vulnerable in those situations.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Okay. What's saving your life right now? You said writing, but is there any other like hobbies, rituals, guilty pleasures?
I wouldn't say it's a ritual, but Asana project manager. So I was in a car accident a few months ago and hit my head pretty hard. My bangs are covering my very large bruise. And so for me, I already have ADHD. So there's like so much going on. And we are, as women in ministry, coming into one of the busiest seasons in the church, which is Advent. And so there's so many pieces going on. And so I live on Asana. I probably spend an hour or 2 a day, just like making myself lists and stuff to do. But yeah, other than that, I think just continuing to surround myself with people who are like-minded and willing to have hard conversations when things feel like they're going to not a fun place. So it's been really helpful. Yeah.
So you recently joined our Women in Youth Ministry team as a Facebook moderator. How or why did you choose to join the team in this way? And what does Women in Youth Ministry like mean to you that you would do this?
I was like trying to look when I joined. So I joined in like right around now in 2020. So it's been 5 years that I've been in this group, which feels short. I feel like for some reason I joined earlier, but I guess it was then. And Women in Youth Ministry, the group first, and then the conference and the friendships that I've made from it has become this place of like healing and safety and comfort, and at the same time, like deep connection. But it's also, I'm in so many Facebook groups that are centered around ministry, and they are not healthy. There's a lot of shaming. There's a lot of trying to prove that you're the right person to be giving advice. And that's not what Women in Youth Ministry is. It is a space where like we have thoughtful, meaningful, like necessary conversations in a space that also does not disrespect the people who are in our community. So we have a wide variety of beliefs. And I think that that's beautiful because that's how we learn and grow and become better people. And at the same time, we don't allow spaces where like people can get shamed or hurt. And I think that's a really powerful line to draw in the sand. And I think we've done it really well. Women in Youth Ministry was the first place that I posted that my husband had passed away. It was the first place that I turned to because I knew that even if they couldn't be with me in person, which at the time I was living in Columbia, Missouri, I didn't have a lot of people there. they would be praying for me at a distance, and I knew they were. And you guys checked in on me more than a lot of other people did. And you showed up for me in ways that I needed. And then the conference was 3 months later, and I showed up raw and broken and left feeling really empowered and loved. And so for me, it's this space that like I'm not alone in what I'm going through as a woman or as a person in ministry, as a woman in ministry, for me, a progressive in ministry. I know there's people that are like that too on the group. And it is a space that I truly know I can be exactly who I am, and what I need is given back to me as well.
If you could tell women, and there's so much to dig into. Well, it's hard because I know what this group means to me.
Yeah.
But I love hearing other people tell their stories because it's just humbling. Like, it's like the fact that I get to be a part of this thing, like it gets me all the time.
It's not even that you get to be a part of it, but that you created the space for it to happen. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's one of my favorite pieces about this, is that it was started by someone who wanted the same thing I wanted, which is a place to just be like truly and deeply connected with people who are going through the same stuff, because ministry wasn't made for women for the last few decades, and it's annoying and it's frustrating, but we're good at it, and we deserve to have a space to like talk about that. So I am constantly thankful and grateful for you and for the group and the ways that you all show up to support everyone who comes through our doors, metaphorically, virtually.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing, is I feel like all I have done is respond to the community, because women are amazing. And I think we naturally create safe spaces.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we get like bad rap about being drama filled or chaotic or whatever. That's actually not who we naturally are. And this community, I think, really shows that. And I've just tried to be faithful to the women and the community that we have created together. And it's been good. It's been 11 years. It's been lovely.
It's been amazing.
So the last question that we always have on the podcast is, we are the Women in Youth Ministry podcast. We have all genders listening to the podcast, but what is something you want to say specifically to women right now?
I think for me, the piece that I would say is that your story is your greatest tool. It is a reminder of where you are and who you are and where you've been, but it's also your best way to understand the people that you're serving and the people that you surround yourself with, and the way that you can relate to one another, because you may not know their exact experience or understand what they've been through, but you can relate to the fact that things might be hard right now, or things might be really good right now. And you can find that general connection, and like learning how to share and shape your ministry in a way that is authentic to who you are, because people need to know you and they need to see you for who you are in that space, not just another face leading a group. And that's how we make authentic and beautiful ministry. It's by being authentic and beautiful in the spaces that we create. So.
Yeah. I love watching how like people's personalities and stories and passions and values drive the kind of youth ministry that they create.
Yes.
And I think it's so evident with you. The more I learn about who you are and what you're passionate about, I'm like, well, of course, this is why Christina creates the spaces that she creates. And it's lovely to watch as like a friend and neighbor. So
I know, now a neighbor.
Yeah. Amazing. Okay. So last, because we're wrapping this up, where can people connect with you online or connect with your work online?
Yeah. If you want to connect with me for work stuff, my personal website is ChristinaAmlin.com, which we can share somewhere.
In the notes.
In the notes, you can find it there. If you want to connect with me on social media, it's Bina Fletch, which is my nickname. And that's my TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. So you can find me all in one spot through there. I'm also technically on Blue Sky and Threads on that, but I don't use them as much.
I don't even know what I use anymore.
I know. I'm just like post to all. Yes.
Yep. All right, friend. Well, I appreciate you being on. And I'm, again, just so excited to be your neighbor and your friend and cheer you on. So,
yeah. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thanks, everybody, for listening. And we will see you all next week.
Bye.
If you enjoyed that podcast, don't forget to rate us 5 stars. You can follow us on Meta, Twitter, and TikTok at Women in YM. If you're a woman, we'd love to have you as part of our Facebook community. Go to womeninyouthministry.com to learn more. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of the Women in Youth Ministry podcast.